Hello and welcome to Craft with Sarah and day 3 of the Christmas Craft Countdown 2021, where I'm revealing a new Christmas craft project every day for 20 days. I promised you yesterday that today's project would be a big one, so here it is. I know that loads of you loved the giant sunflower and pumpkin sign that I released for the Halloween Craft Countdown, and I had so many requests for a matching Christmas one, so here it is. This giant sign is wonderful to make with the Cricut machine, and it's filled with layers of poinsettias and holly leaves and other festive goodies. Best of all, you can cut it from regular 12x12 US letter or A4 paper, and it all cuts on a regular sized Cricut mat. Let's see how to make it. First, you need to download the cutting file to make this project. If you aren't already signed up to the Christmas Craft Countdown, go to craftwithsarah.com/Christmas 2021 to join. If you have already purchased the countdown, go to craftwithsarah.com/login to log in to your account and access all of the Christmas Craft Countdown files. Once logged in, click into the Christmas Craft Countdown. Scroll down the page and all the files will become available on the date specified. The files do not expire, so you can download them at any time. The SVG file for this project is available under the Day 3 heading. After downloading the cutting files, you'll need to unzip the folder that they come in. If you aren't sure how to do that, check the link in the description of this video, which contains instructions on how to unzip folders on Windows computers, Macs, and Android and iPhone devices. Once you've downloaded and unzipped the folder, it's ready to get the file into Cricut Design Space. Please note that due to the complexity of this file, it is only available in SVG format. One thing I just wanted to show you before we get started is that if you were to double click on the SVG file and open it in an internet browser or just look at it on your computer, you'll probably find that it looks cut off like this and you can only see the very left portion of the sign. If that happens, don't worry about it. This is completely fine. When you upload it into Design Space, it will show the whole thing. So please don't panic if this is happening to you. Okay, so here we are in Design Space, and then I am going to go over to Upload on the left side and then click Upload Image. You can then either click Browse or drag and drop the file from your computer. The file you want to upload is the one called SVG Giant Poinsettia Sign Craft with Sarah.svg. So just look for the one which starts SVG in that file name, and that is the correct one. I will pull this in, and then it might take a little while because this is a big file, but as you can see, this is now showing the whole thing, not just that section on the left. So I can go ahead and press Upload down on the bottom right. And again, this might take a little minute. But here it is, so I can click it now under my recent uploads and then press Add to Canvas. And this should load in at the correct size. So it's coming in at 20.632 inches wide and 10.788 inches tall. If you want to, you can make it a little bit bigger or smaller, depending on what sized paper you've got. If you're using 12x12 inch paper for the bottom layers, you could probably make it a fair bit bigger, but I didn't have any 12x12 cards, so this has actually been designed so that it will cut out at this size it currently is from A4 paper, which is the type of paper that I use mostly as I'm in the UK. There's not a lot we need to do to this. If you don't want to resize it and just do it this size, then that's absolutely fine. And what it does is the bottom pieces come in several sections. So if I scroll all the way down to the bottom in the layers panel, these very 4 bottom layers are the bits which make up that gold layer along the bottom. And that's what will stick together to then put all of the flowers on top. So don't worry that it says the whole thing is, 20.6 inches wide. I know that sounds massive, but everything will cut in sections. So it will all fit into your Cricut, and then I'll show you how to stick it together. What we do need to do though is add a message along the bottom. The reason I left it blank for you to add your own message is so you can put whatever you want. It could be Merry Christmas, Season's Greetings, Warmest Wishes, or maybe even your family name, or just anything really that you can think of to fit in there. You could maybe even print out some little photos of your family or something like that to stick in the gap. But I'll show you how to do it. So let's go over to text in the left-hand side. Because this is going to be so big, I'd recommend doing each word as a separate layer. Mine will say Merry Christmas, so to start with, I'm just going to type out the word Merry. To make it easier to stick all of these letters onto my sign, I'm going to change it to a font where the letters mostly are all touching, so a script font. So highlight the word and then go into the font drop down. And then I'm going to change this to only show me Cricut fonts. And then make sure this tick box for only kerned fonts is ticked. And then you can just have a little scroll down and have a look at the fonts. Of course, you can use one that's on your computer instead. If you want to do that, just click System instead of Cricut, and then it will show you your own fonts on your computer. I'm looking for quite a thick font so that it's easy to cut from cardstock. And like I said before, one where most of the letters are touching. I like the look of this one, which is called DTC October Daylight, and this is a Cricut Access font. So let's click that and see. Yep, that looks nice. I think that'll work well. So when you load in a font with the letters touching, you can see, if I make this really big, it's got lines where each of the letters touch. Now don't worry, it's not actually going to cut those. It will do it as just one continuous piece. But if you were worried about it and you just wanted to double make sure just for your own mind, then what you can do is where it says weld down the bottom of the layers panel, click on that and then it will take out all of those lines. Just bear in mind, once you've welded it, you then can't change the wording. So I'm going to undo that. Put it back to how it was. Oops, click the wrong thing. And then when you're kind of happy with the size, right click on it and press duplicate. Or another way to do it is to click the layer and then at the top of the layers panel, press duplicate up there. And that will make a copy. And the reason we did that is so that we can double click into it and change the word to the next one. But because we copied it, it means all of the font is the same size, so it will look nice and consistent. Here's my word Christmas, and I've noticed that the S and the T aren't actually touching, and I would like them to touch so that I can cut this out as one continuous shape. To do that, click on the word, and then at the very top, press Ungroup. Now, each of those letters is its own layer, which means I can select the T, press Shift on my keyboard and choose the rest of the letters in that word. And then on my keyboard, I'm just going to press the left arrow and shift that along a bit so that the T is touching the S. Now that we've ungrouped the letters on the word Christmas, it means the Cricut actually would cut all of these as individual letters and not all as one. So if you don't ungroup it, then it will cut all as one, but the moment you ungroup it, it will cut each of these as an individual layer. We don't want that, so I'm going to go down the layers panel and then click one of them, the S on the end of Christmas, and then with the Shift key pushed down, press all of the other letters in the word Christmas, and then down the bottom, press that weld button. Now these are all joined together, which means it will cut as one. It's still not quite right at the moment because it's too big to go in the sign. You see that S is being overlapped by the poinsettia flower. We need to resize both of these words together to make sure they stay the same font size so it looks consistent. So click on one of the words, press Shift on the keyboard and choose the other. And now you can resize them together and you see they're both moving. So have a play. Get them so that they'll fit nicely onto the sign. And then just because it does worry me a little bit with those little lines, I am going to weld together that Merry as well. So there we go. There's my Merry Christmas. It's the wrong colour at the moment. I want to cut this from one of the same shades of red that's being used on the poinsettia flowers. To do this, go up to the top right and press Colour Sync. This shows you all of the layers split out into the individual colours, and you see at the bottom I've got my Merry Christmas in the grey. To change it to red, simply click and drag with your mouse, find the red colour that you want to put it on, and then let go. And that will change it to that colour. So I'll do it again on the Merry, click and drag it to the red. I'm using the very lightest one. Let go with the mouse, and it will move it onto that colour. And then I'll just click back to the layers panel. And there we go. This is now all ready for me to cut out. What I would recommend doing is saving your project at this point because we've done some customization. So it's good to make a copy of it in case you ever want to cut it out exactly the same again. Or if you maybe want to, go away from your computer or your Cricut and come back and cut it out another time. Press save at the top and then give it a name. And then if you want to, you can add it to a collection. I'll just put mine in my testing folder for now. And then press save. And now you'll be able to open this project again at any point and it will have all of your changes already saved. When you're ready to cut it out, click Make It along the top right. This will split all of the shapes out into their individual colours. And you'll see there are quite a lot. Because there is quite a lot involved in this design. But we can make it use less than this. So I'll show you how to do that. What you can do is first decide on the paper size that you're going to be cutting this from. Most of my paper is A4 sized, but the Cricut defaults it to 12 by 12 inches, so I need to change it. In the drop down on the left, change it to the paper that you have. So mine is A4. And then you'll see this is now going to use up 5 separate pieces of A4 paper. I might not be able to get it much less than that, but we'll see. What you can do is drag and drop the pieces around on the card to try and get it to fit so that it saves a bit of space. These are 2 of the base pieces, so that's what makes the white sign that our Merry Christmas goes on. So I don't think I'll be able to do much with that. But let's take a look at the others. So I've got these 3 pieces and this one it's put all on its own, but I'm going to try and move it. So click into the 3 dots and then move object and then choose which one you want it to go on. Make sure it's the same colour. So I'll choose that one and then confirm. And that's now moved it and I can use the rotate button to move it about so that it's not touching any of that other piece, because if it's overlapping at all like that, they won't cut out properly. They'll cut both shapes and then they'll take little pieces out of each other. So you must make sure that they aren't actually touching. So now when I go and click continue, it will get rid of this empty piece of white. So that means we've just saved ourselves a sheet of paper. You can do the same for the other pieces. So I'm going to change this to A4 again. And it thinks it needs 3 of this, but I reckon we can get it onto 2. Might need a bit of careful playing about with things. So it's up to you how much time you spend trying to get everything onto less sheets of card. I tend to spend quite a while on it because I don't like using bits of card if I don't have to. I think I just missed it. Move object. So in my opinion, I think it's worth the time moving things about to use up less supplies. But if you'd rather just get on with it and use a little bit extra card so that you can start cutting quicker, of course, that is completely fine too. So go ahead and change all of your paper sizes and then just double check once you've moved everything around that you do actually have enough sheets of that particular colour to be able to complete the cut, because there's nothing worse than getting halfway through and then realising you've run out of the colour. When you're happy with everything, click continue down on the bottom right and then that will connect to your Cricut machine and you can follow the instructions on screen to cut everything out from all of your different sheets of cardstock. Here are all of my pieces cut out, and I cannot say enough how much I recommend layering everything up, just putting it one on top of the other before you do any sticking. And that's because a lot of these pieces are very, very similar. So I'd hate for you to start sticking and then realize when you got to another flower that you'd actually put the wrong pieces on. So yeah, I would definitely recommend just laying everything out to check you've got everything, check you're happy with the colours, and also so that you know you're going to put the right bits in the right place. What's nice about this design is that all of the flower sections can sort of be made up individually. So I'm going to move these apart to show you what I mean. So all of this flower, you can see it comes apart, and we can move that over to one side. And I'm going to make sure I try and keep these in the same order that they appear on the design. So I've got this one down the bottom right too. There we go, that's got the holly joined to it. Move that over there. And then this little one on the top right. There we go. Actually, those bits should have been moved at the same time as the last one, so I'll just go and slide those in. There we go. And then we got this big one. Quite a lot of layers on that one. And oh, excuse the washi tape. I put this together in a different room to where I was filming, so I had to try and find a way to move it without dropping everything. And then we got this one, this big one. So this all comes apart as one section too. I'll put that up out the way. And then we've got the Merry Christmas down the bottom. So I've got another bit of washi tape there. Okay, so I'm also going to just move my wording. Right, okay, so the reason we're moving everything off is we want to start at the bottom. So I'm going to move these bits off as well. I'm just trying to keep everything in its own separate sections on my craft desk, so it'll be easy to put that together. Here are my 4 base pieces. There we go. Yours will look a little bit different because yours will have little triangles cut out of it to help you line the pieces up. But I didn't realise until I'd already cut it out that I'd forgotten to add those, and I wasn't going to cut it all out again. So I haven't got the triangles in my bit, but you do, and you'll be able to use those to help line everything up. And I'll show you what I mean in a minute. So I'm going to start on this side, and how this works is the base pieces will overlap each other a little bit. So I'm lining mine up based on these at the top. You see you've got this kind of leafy bit coming out, and then that's also on this piece. So I know I can line those up and that will be straight. You will also have 2 little triangles, one on this piece and one on this piece. So you can line up those triangles, and when you can see through them to your table underneath, you know that it's lined up properly. So that's what I was meaning by the triangles. It's just another way to make sure you line this up, because sticking this base part together is the most important part of the whole design. You really want to make sure you line it up correctly. So I put a bit of glue down that edge, and then I'll line this up. Mine's going by that leaf, and then the bottom should be straight, and then you'll be lining up your triangle as well. Okay, so now we can move on to the next bit, and again this has a little overlap, so this holly leaf here is where I'm going to line mine up. So you'll line yours up by that holly leaf and also the triangles at the bottom. So again, I'll just put some glue down here. And then line this up. I'm sorry if you can hear some background noise. There are some fireworks going off outside, so if there are some bangs being picked up on the microphone, then I apologise for that. Okay, we've got one more piece left. Oh, do you know what? That's actually not straight. There we go. As I said, it'll be easier for you to line yours up because you'll have those triangles. And then I've got my final piece, which is going to line up along there. So glue it again. There, all the way down. And then line this up. So I'm doing mine against that point of that big leaf. And then making sure it's straight. Okay. So that's my 4 base pieces stuck together. But because this is going to have so much card on the top of it, I want to make sure it's really, really stable and secure. So to do that, turn it upside down. And I'm going to add some sellotape down all of these join lines. Alright, so here's my sellotape, and I'm just going to add a bit down all of these lines. That should make them nice and sturdy. So now we can turn this back the right way up and stick on the next piece, which is the white part which goes along the bottom. So this comes in 2 pieces. Let's make sure I get them the right way round. There, and just like before, these are going to line up and then overlap in the middle. So I'll start with the one on the left. I don't think it particularly matters. And these ones I'm also going to glue. So I can just put a load of glue on the back. There we go. You want to add quite a bit because you don't want them to come off. And also try and get some glue into all of the little leaves. Here's this one. And these are a bit easier to line up because you've got all of the shapes on the outline to put it up against. And then I'll do the same with the other one. So a lot of glue on the back. Get into all of those teeny tiny shapes. I should not be gluing this on top of my actual sign. That's a really silly idea because if I accidentally put any glue over the edge, it might damage what I'm making. So don't do that, but I've kind of run out of space. So I'm going to line this one up. There. And then it will overlap in the middle. Okay. Next, it's time for the green border around this section. Again, this comes in 2 pieces. There's one. And there's the other. I'm going to add 3D foam pads to the base of this one. So I'll do it one at a time and then we will need to glue this little overlap bit at the end. I'll start with this side. And the foam pads I'm using are from Dot & Dab, but any kind of 3D foam pads will work. These ones are really, really small, which is quite helpful because they can fit into all the little spaces. But on the other side, it means I'm going to need to use a lot of them for something this size. So just gonna put quite a lot on here. You want to make sure that as well as going into all of the little points of the leaves and things like that, you've also got a good amount in the middle of the big sections of green, and that's to give it stability and to stop the card from sagging. And that's also why I'm going to put so many along the edge, because this is a very long straight piece of card, and if there was nothing in there to take that weight, then it will just droop in those long straight bits and it won't look as good. We do not want a droopy sign. Now I can peel the tops off. And the reason I like this brand of foam pad is that the tops peel off really easily. Some foam pads, you're there for ages trying to pick the tops off. And I'm quite impatient. So there we go, there's the first one. And then I'll start by lining it up along that edge. There we go. And then, oops, just drop it into place. Make sure it's all straight. There. Okay, next bit. So when you're adding the foam pads to this section, make sure you don't add any. Let's just line this up. Don't add any on these very end bits because they're going to overlap what's already there. So I'll have to glue those little tabs. But the rest of it can have the foam. I'll try and move that so you can actually see what I'm doing. That is kind of the difficulty of making something so big. It's hard to get in the camera shot. And I don't really know a lot about cameras. My husband does. It's actually his job. He's a camera operator. So he set up my filming setup for me, and I don't actually know how to zoom out on the camera and then refocus everything. So I'm a little bit zoomed in maybe for this particular project, but I hope it's okay. I should probably learn how to do these basic things with the camera. But it's much easier to have someone do them for me. You can't know everything, right? Okay, so peel these tops off and then line it up and stick along, and then just take the glue and put a little bit under these tabs. I haven't quite lined that up perfectly, but it's pretty close. By the time you've got all the flowers and things overlapping it, I think it will look okay. The next thing I'm going to do is add my message, because now I know where all of the bits of the pattern are going to sit. I can get my Merry Christmas in, and I want to put this in nice and early so that I don't lose that tiny dot on the eye in Christmas. It's so small, look. Oh dear. Alright, so I think that's about right. I think that's vaguely straight. So I can just glue these together. Or I could use foam, because it's quite a thick font, so I probably could get my foam pads in there. No, I'm going to use glue. I think it's a bit going to be easier to put some glue in. So I've just added a bit on the back of that M. Stick it down. Again, I don't recommend gluing above your project, just in case you spill any, but I'm trying to keep what I'm doing in this shot. Right. Merry. Bit of glue there. Get rid of that. Ooh, and there. The glue does dry clear, but if I've got the opportunity to, you know, clean it up a bit as I go, then I will. So I'm adding the glue now to the Christmas, and I have put this down on my work surface because it's a lot of letters. All right. Here is my Christmas. Trying to line it up. You could draw a little pencil line if you want to get it perfectly straight and then erase it afterwards, or maybe stick it along a ruler edge. But I'll just do it by eye. And there's my little dot on the eye. So there's my message. All done, which means it's time to start putting together some of these poinsettias. I'm going to work from left to right. So first one is the big one, which goes here. And that is here. So let's move this up out the way. We're going to assemble all of the flowers separately, and then we'll stick it onto the design all together at the end. Going to move these apart, and some of these do have quite a lot of layers, so we're going to need to be a bit careful with the ones we use glue on and which ones we use foam on to make sure it just doesn't get too thick. These are the bottom two layers, these green ones, and for these I'm going to use glue. It's a very loud motorbike outside, which you can probably hear. Okay. So to line this up, and you'll notice not all of the parts are covered, so we've got these little fluffy fern parts that aren't covered by the dark green, but the rest of the leaves will line up. And if you check the zip folder, or the unzipped folder, the one that you unzipped, after you downloaded the file from my website, then there is a PDF guide in there with all of the instructions for all the different poinsettias, telling you which layers to glue and which ones to use foam for. So here's my next one, this white one, and I'm going to use glue again for this one. Some of these are a bit tricky to line up. You might have to start sort of rotating them around a bit to make sure you've got all the leaves going in the right place. Next, we've got two more green layers. We've got a solid one and then one with the little leaves cut out. The solid one I will do with foam pads, so I'll turn it upside down and add all of my foam to the bottom. And just like when we were doing the bottom bit on the sign, make sure you get your foam into the little pointy extremity pieces, and as well as that, put the foam in the middle, otherwise it will sag. You can stick this on. So just line it up and then gently let go to check you're happy with the positioning, because that way if you've not quite lined it up right, because we've only just dropped it, you can pick it up again and it shouldn't damage anything. And then when you're happy, just push it down, press all of those foam pads in so that they're stuck, and then move on to the next layer, which is this green one, which I will glue. Alright, there's that one. And now we're moving on to red. So we've got the next two layers, a dark red and a light red. And for the dark one, that will be done with foam. Now the foam's ready. This just slots on top. Just trying to find the right way around, which is this way. There's that one, and then the next one with the little cut-out bits on the leaves will be glued. Pick it up and stick it down. What's nice about these poinsettias is they would look really nice on their own without putting them as part of the sign. So you could definitely do that and maybe have a little collection all in different sized frames. I think that would look really pretty. There's two more red bits left for this one, and the solid one will be done with foam. These ones are a little bit harder to get lined up because we're losing that outline a bit. So eventually you should find that all the little points line up, and that's the way around it goes. And then for the last bit of red, there we go, I will glue it. Just completely lost what way around that was supposed to stick. There we are. Okay, almost done. We've just got the middle part, and this comes in two. We've got a light gold and then the shiny gold that I've done. So I'll just put one piece on there for the middle bit, and these bits, it doesn't really matter which way around you put them. And then I will glue the top one. Try and line these two up though. There we go. That is the first poinsettia done. And what I'm going to do after each one is just position it back on my sign, but I'm not going to stick it until everything's done. So that's where that one does, and already that is just looking so pretty. But we can move on to the next one now, which is the little flower with the holly which comes out the bottom. So that one will be stuck here. So I'll move my sign. Just position that first one back because it moved. And then this one we will make next. Just like before, I'm going to move all the bits apart and then start sticking them together. Oh, I've just noticed I've still got some little pieces in there that should have been removed. I'll try and get those out, but I might need to run and get my weeding tool. Actually, I think the card didn't quite cut through on them. Okay, I don't want to damage it, so I'll leave them in there. So these are the first two bits, and these ones will be glued. So just like we did before with the bottom layers on the other one. Got to play the lining up game again. It goes that way. There we are. Alrighty, next one is this solid green, and this one will be another glue layer. Stick it down, try and figure out which way it's going again. That way. There, and then the next one is this white one. So that's going to go there. I'm a little bit confused where this holly is supposed to go. I think it was designed to be stuck onto the actual sign, and then this will go on top to form the berries. So I'm going to go with that. I hope that works out. So I've got the white one next, and because we're only on one layer so far, I think I will actually foam the white section. I know I glued it on the last poinsettia, but because this has a different number of those green bits, I think it's time for a bit of dimension. Next we've got the red, so for the solid one, that will be done with foam. And then line up the petals, stick that one down, and then we've got the detailed layer to go on top, which will be done with glue. You can probably kind of guess as I'm going along after a few which ones will be glued and which ones will be foamed. Generally, solid layers are foamed and detail layers are glued, but not always, so be sure to follow along or to check the PDF guide in your download folder just to make doubly sure. I've got these holly berries which are going to go down here, and these ones I will just glue on. There. And then for the poinsettia, we've got another solid layer, so that means foam. I can just about hear some more fireworks going off. I'm hoping you can't hear them because they are quite quiet. I think they're quite far away. If they get much louder, I will stop recording again and wait for them to finish, which is what I did with those ones you heard at the beginning. There we go. And then the detailed one, I will glue. So next we've got the middle bits and a bit of foam for the first. Just managed to turn it over like that. And then I don't want the glue to go over any of those holes, so I'll add it straight onto the bit of card. Put the glue on there. And there is Poinsettia 2 finished, so let's see how it will fit in. I do have these holly leaves too that I need to work out. But that one will go there, and then you see those berries form the holly. So what I'm going to do at this point, so I don't forget later, is glue the holly leaf down. So just add some glue on the back. And then glue that onto the sign underneath. And then roughly place that in position. Managed to mess up the first one. But as I said, we're not gluing these yet. Okay. Right, there's that one. So we are 2 down. Let's just show it in the shot. And I love that you can see all of the layers forming. So next we are on to the other big poinsettia design, which is this one. So it goes roughly like that. Move the sign out the way. And let's move on to the third one. This one's got quite a lot of layers into it. But just like the others, it starts with 2 green. And the detailed green, the darker one, we're going to glue onto the solid one underneath. Didn't line that up very well. That's why I like glue. You've got that wiggle room if you completely mess it up, like I almost did. Okay, what have we got now? There are 2 layers. So we've got white and then that green. So I'm going to do what I did on the first poinsettia and glue the white one this time. We've got enough layers in the rest of it to get away with gluing this one. I'd love to know what you think of this project, so please do leave me a comment. Do you like it? Is it something you think you'll be making, or is it maybe a little bit too big and complex? I hope this video kind of shows that although it is, you know, it's a large project, it is actually pretty simple to put together because it comes in all of the individual pieces. So you kind of just do it one bit at a time, which I think makes it seem a lot less scary. It's definitely one of my favourite projects from the Christmas Craft Countdown for this year. And if you want to see all of the projects, go to craftwithsarah.com/Christmas 2021. Alright, that's my little promo over. Let's go back to sticking. So 2 green layers, the solid one will be done with foam. If you want a matching design for this for fall or autumn, check out my other videos because I did do one of those for this year's Halloween craft countdown, and it's basically the same as this one, but instead of poinsettias and holly leaves, it's all filled with sunflowers and pumpkins and sort of autumnal coloured leaves. It's really pretty. I know that one was popular with you lovely YouTube subscribers because I saw so many of it made up, posted in my Facebook group and pictures emailed to me and things. And I love seeing your photos of your finished projects. It really makes me happy to see when you've made something with one of my designs. So please share your crafts. I really love seeing them. That bit's stuck with the foam, and then the next one with the detail will be done with glue. And then next we have the first 2 layers of this poinsettia flower. So the solid one, as ever, will be done with the foam. If this project does seem a little bit big and daunting, what you could do is perhaps do it over several nights. So maybe cut it all out one night, and then the next night put the base together and add the sign, the writing on the front and the these edges. And then the third night do the first poinsettia, then the next night do the next one, and so on and so forth. And then it'd just be a little bit every night, so it'll split it up a bit. If you don't have much time to craft, then that would be quite a nice way to do it. And then this one on top will be glued. It's also kind of, if you did it like that, it would be almost like a little advent calendar where you're doing a little bit of crafting every day until you have finished. And then when you do finish, check out some of my other layered designs and carry on. A little bit of crafting every day is definitely good for the soul. Glue this one. And then next we have 2 more red layers. The solid one. Can you guess? Yep, done with foam. This is another bit that's a little tricky to line up because there's not a lot to go on. Aha, eventually though, you'll get it. That took me quite a while. Alright, the next one with the gaps in is going to be done with glue. We're almost done with the third flower, and that'll be 3 out of 5. There are a lot, so this is probably going to end up a horrifically long video. There we go, that way. And finally, the bit in the middle, just one little foam pad for that bottom piece. There. And then the other bit, I will glue on top. There. That didn't look like it was going to line up for some reason, but it did. And then that bit's done, so I pull this back in and then just roughly line it up. That goes there. Oh, look how pretty it is. Okay, next I will do the little one that goes up in the top right. I've actually managed to drop this. The bits aren't really where they're supposed to be. But this is the one which goes up here. And I think this is the smallest one out of all of them. Let's just move those apart and start with these. And this one will be glued. Feels weird doing a really small one after sticking the big one. And it felt weird saying that, actually. Oh dear. Okay, there's that one. And then next there is a darker one, which is just going to be that detail in there. So for that one, I'll glue it. There. And then for the white layer, we're going to replicate what we did on that second flower. So this one I will use the foam pads for. I do actually have another Christmas themed giant sign like this, but instead of the kind of traditional look of this one with the poinsettias, it's much more modern and contemporary. It's got characters on it. So there's a snowman. Oh gosh, there's a reindeer on it, and lots of other characters. That's really bad that right now at this second I don't remember what it looks like, even though it is up in my craft room. I look at it pretty much all day every day because it's on the wall in front of me, and I can't remember what's on it. There's a gingerbread man, and a Santa. Gosh, my brain. Okay, the poinsettia, the solid layer, will be done with foam. Yeah, so that one's much more sort of cute and contemporary, and it's really nice too. I did that one last year. So I've got an autumn one, as I said, and this one's obviously Christmas in the floral design. So what do you reckon? Does there need to be a spring one and a summer one too? Let me know in the comments if that's something you would like to see. And also give me some suggestions of what to put on it. So I'm just gonna glue this one. So I guess spring, if I'm keeping with the floral theme, spring could be daffodils, tulips, snowdrops, bluebells maybe? That would be nice, all those pastel colours. But I'm not really sure what summer would be. What flowers do you get? I mean, you kind of got all of the types of flowers in the summer. I don't know. For the rest of the poinsettia on this one, I'll foam the solid and then glue the one with the detail. I suppose for summer flowers, I could maybe do like Hawaiian flowers with some big palm leaves and really bright colours. Like I'm kind of imagining sort of bright pinks and yellows. That would be nice. What do you reckon? Does that signify summer to you? I'm not really sure. I think it would definitely be pretty and a good contrast to the other ones. Alright, there's that one. And then this one to glue. Can't figure it out. There. I always start panicking that I've glued the wrong side and it's not going to line up, but that doesn't actually happen very often, although it does happen. I have had to recut some of these Christmas craft countdown projects a little bit because I've put glue on the wrong side and it hasn't been rescuable, so I had to recut that layer, which is annoying, but I clearly just need to pay more attention. Okay. There, poinsettia 4. That one was a lot quicker, I feel. Okay, this one goes on this top right. That will go there. And then we only have one poinsettia left, which is the one on the right hand side. And then we've got a few little extra details to add on the left. Here is our one for the right. Oh, I can't pick it up. And then that goes up with that holly in there. I just realised you can actually see that. Let's try that again. This one will go here with the holly. Right. Okay, number 5. Let's move these apart. I don't want to lose those berries, so I'll just move them to one side. And then for these 2 layers, we're going to glue these leaves on top of the bottom layer. My little glue bottle's getting a bit empty. I might have to refill it. Hopefully I'll have enough for the rest of this project. This one should be much easier to line up because I can do it along the holly leaf. There. And then I've got this green one. And to keep it consistent with all the other leaf details, I should glue this one. Just having a little think. Yeah, I think I will glue it. It's going to be raised anyway because it's going to mostly be sat on this, which is already raised. So I think gluing this layer too should be fine. Thought this would be easier to line up with the holly, and I still managed to nearly get it wrong. Alright, there's that one. And then next we've got the poinsettia leaves. So solid layer gets the foam. Now I don't have the holly leaves anymore to use to line it up. There we go. And then the next one we will glue. Fireworks are going off again. I'm recording this video a week after Bonfire Night in the UK, which is the 5th of November, so it's a week after that tonight. So there are still lots of fireworks going off. We tend to have them from Halloween right through until Christmas. They go off a lot, and one of my dogs is terrified of them, so it's not ideal really. This layer we will use foam. If you've got any tricks for keeping dogs calm in fireworks, then let me know. He's better than he used to be though. He tends to just go under the sofa and go to sleep under there where it's dark and quiet and he feels protected, so I'm quite happy to let him do that if it makes him feel better. Our other dog isn't bothered at all by fireworks. He will literally be out in the garden and a firework will go off, you know, over the road or something, and he just doesn't care. So that's good. There we go, glue on that one. I didn't actually say that I was going to glue this one, but you would have just watched me. Right, that one. And then, oh, we've got 2 bits left to do. We've got the holly berries, which I will add foam for the white. There, and then glue the red bit on. And in the middle of that last poinsettia, got 1, and then glue the top shiny bit. My glue's getting a bit stringy because I've had the lid off it for so long whilst making this project. Alright, there is that one. Let's bring the sign back. Try and get it so you can actually see. This one lines up along there, and the holly just slots in, so it's just touching that other leaf. And there, so just a little bit left to go here. We've got a little green bit to go on there, which I will glue straight on. Just add some glue in these little sections. I really need to learn to put the lid on my glue as I'm working, but I'm far too lazy for that. There's that one. And then the holly down the bottom. And although this is a detail layer, because it's only this little holly, I'm going to use foam pads for this so it pops out. Otherwise I think it will look a little flat when compared to everything else. So you just want to be careful with your foam pads that you don't put any over those slits in the leaves. Otherwise you'll be able to see the foam when you turn it around again, which we don't want. So, oh, do you know what? I've just put that on the wrong side. Oh, it's not going to line up now, is it? No. This is because I said earlier that I often do this. Try and get the foam off. Oh dear. Luckily, it seems to be coming off okay. That's because I've been concentrating on talking and not on what I was doing. Oh dear, that hasn't come off very well. Let's try and scrape it. At least I know I've got the project saved in Design Space, so if I did need to cut it again, it's already at the right size and I could just cut this little bit. But actually, that has all come off beautifully. That isn't always the case. So let's line that up, turn it upside down, and try that bit again. I was never going to get through a video of this length without making at least one mistake. I almost made it, almost got to the end, but not quite. Alright, there's that one. And then I will foam up the white part of the berries. Stick these on the right way round. And then, just checking now because I'm paranoid, I'll glue the red bits on top. There we go. Okay. Ta-da! There is everything made up, so now we can start sticking it all together. We need to be a little bit clever when sticking this together to make sure everything ends up level when it's all interacting with each other. So I'm going to start with the one on the left, which is the first one we stuck together. And if you pick it up, you can kind of see what I mean about keeping it level. So this part on the gold is lower down than this part on the green. So what we'll need to do is add foam pads to the part that's over the gold that will sit here, and then glue the parts that will appear on the green. And then it will all be level because this green is already foam padded up. So by adding the foam here and not here, it means that this will sit nice and level. So what I'm going to do is just have a little think about where that line is. So about equal with along there, so about there. So I'm just going to add foam pads above that. If you want to, you could try marking it with a pencil, but I don't think that's really necessary. Just guesstimate it. Go a bit higher than you think, just to be on that extra safe side. And if you do need to take any of the foam pads off when you try and stick it, then it's only the bottom of the card, so if it makes a little bit of a mess, it doesn't matter. Okay. Peeling these off. Okay. So they will stick there. And then I want to add some glue onto this part of the green. And you don't want to go all the way to the edge of that leaf that's there because that's not going to be covered up. You want to try and just choose the bits that will be covered by what we're about to put on it. So I think that's probably enough. And then line it up. And just press it all down. And you can see that it's nice and flat on top. So that has been lined up perfect. We'll move on to the second one. And this time we are kind of doing it a little bit easier because the only bit that's going to overlap is the holly berries. The rest of it is all good for the foam pads. We will need to kind of tuck that holly leaf just under there probably, or it might go on top. We'll see how it is, but everything apart from where that holly is can have foam pads. Okay, peel that off and then I'll add some glue to the berries there. And then stick this into place. I almost forgot to move it down so you can actually see what I'm doing. Okay, so I'm going to use the top to line that up and also the hollies that is going to sit there. There we go. And this holly leaf, I'm just going to pick up the top the poinsettia on the other one and just tuck that over the top just so that they're not pressing against each other. But there we go, that is the second one all stuck down. I think the next one I will do is the top right one. But I'm just going to double check where this goes. Oops, upside down. No? Oh no, what am I doing? Where does this line up? Oh, I'm getting very confused now. Please don't tell me I've stuck it back to front. Maybe it doesn't line up that way. Oh no, what am I doing? Okay. Oh, okay, that's why. I was trying to line it up against this ferny bit, but actually it doesn't have that bit. So that was why that didn't work. Okay. That's because... Oh, I had this the wrong way round. That's why. That one goes there. And that covers up the holly. Right. See, I'm getting all confused. All right, so that's my 3 remaining ones. I think I will actually stick the big one next, so this one. And just like with the first one, we're going to need to use foam along the gold and glue along the green. There isn't an awful lot of green, so it's only really this little bottom section. The rest of it can have foam. And I'm going to add quite a lot because this is a big, heavy piece. It's, you know, it's a whole layered design all by itself. And there's lots to this one, and it's the biggest, so a lot of foam pads to make sure that it's not going to fall off when it's put on display on the wall. I've nearly used a whole sheet. Look at that. I thought they'd last a bit longer. But never mind. All right. Pick these tops off. And then pull the sign back. And just like before, we need to work out where we need to put the glue. All right, so that's that way round. And then the glue only really Do you know what? I'm going to do it on the back of this rather than try and do it on what's already there. So just a bit on there and then a bit on those leaves. And that should be enough. Now I've dislodged it again. Okay. That one done. Okay, 2 left, which is the ones on the very right hand side. And I'll get these the right way around this time. So let's start with this bottom one. And this one will be mostly glued because it's going on this bit that's already raised. The only foam pads needed are going to be behind this big leaf. So let's add those on. There, we don't need very many. And then put glue on the rest of it. Again, quite a lot, so it's definitely going to hold. I've not put any on this bit because I think that will be overhanging the green. And then line it up. I probably could have actually put some foam pads underneath that holly, but because of the weight of it, I think it'll be okay. Didn't quite line that up right. Okay. There we go. Happy with that. And now just one left, which is in here. And this one, the whole thing can have foam on because it's only going on that gold. Or alternatively, you could glue it if you wanted it to, oh, I've gone off shot again. You could glue it if you then wanted to just sort of slide it in underneath everything that's already there. You could probably manage that. But I'm going to use foam. I love the 3D. This one might be the trickiest to slide in place because it's got to go underneath in a couple of places what's already there. But we will figure it out. I'm so excited to see this finished. All right, moment of truth. Will the last one fit? So that's going to go on there. Line up the edges. And then some of these underlayers of the green under here, I'm just going to kind of tuck in, if I can, underneath the sticky out bit of the other layer. Just gently, gently. I'm not sure it's actually going to go. There we go. I've bent it a little bit. This is not going well. I thought this would tuck in a lot neater. Come out. What is it doing? Oh, I think it's because I have stuck it to a foam pad. That's why I can't tuck it underneath, because I've actually stuck it to itself. Okay. Right. Let's tuck that back. There we go. So I've just put that under the bottom couple of layers, just to neaten it up a bit. And that side, it is all looking fine. So I actually probably shouldn't have done that because it's bent it a bit, but never mind. It is sitting a bit neater than what it was doing before. But there we go. There is my giant Merry Christmas poinsettia sign. All finished, all stuck together. I'm just going to double check by just making sure there's no bits still stuck. And you can see just how beautiful and pretty this is. Now it's got all of those layers inside it. I hope you enjoyed this video on how to make my giant poinsettia sign. If you've made it all the way to the end of the video, well done, because I know it was a little bit on the longer side. If you make a craft with this, I would love to see a photo. So check the description below this video and there's a link in there to my Facebook group. And I'd love it if you could post a photo and show off what you've made. Don't forget to get the file to make one of these for yourself. Head to craftwithsarah.com/Christmas 2021. Thank you so much for watching and I'll see you again tomorrow for day 4 of the Christmas Craft Countdown.